Hi Yogi friends, and welcome to our daily dose of mindfulness and movement. Today we'll be reading How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. So find a comfortable space in your home, maybe get a mat or a blanket, and let's begin. So, every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But you know who didn't? But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. He did not appreciate Christmas. So let's stand up tall, come to our feet, and let's do our Grinch pose. So we're gonna cross one foot over the other, and can you kind of sit down in a chair? You put your arms, your fists on your hips. You can make a Grinchy face. You can scrunch your nose and scrunch your eyes. Excellent, let's try the other side. So let's cross our other leg over and sit, and you can make your Grinchy face. Excellent, Yogi friends. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Oh, so can you show me with your fingers? Can you show me some sparkle fingers? And can you put all 4 of your fingers together like in a mitten and then kind of curl them down? And we're gonna put our thumbs down towards the ground and we're gonna make a heart because they thought that his heart was too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos. That's not very kind, is it? Staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown. Can you show me your sour, grinchy frown? Excellent, yogis. At the warm-lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. So let's do our stocking pose. So we're gonna come up to our knees. So have your knees on the floor and your feet on the floor. Take your hands and put them behind you on your lower back and take your eyes and look up high to the sky. Excellent stocking pose, friends. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, and all the Who girls and boys would make bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise, noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise. Wow, do you see all those things that they're using to make noise with? And then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. So let's come into our feast pose. We're gonna put our hands on the mat and our knees on the mat to come into our table pose. So your knees and the tops of your feet and your hands are placed on the mat, and you can look up, look around at all the decorations that the Whos have created. And then we're gonna take our eyes and look towards our belly button and come into our Who's Beast pose. Because they like to eat roast Who's Beast. And then we're gonna go back, we're gonna look at all the ornaments and all the decorations and the lights again. And then come into our Who's Beast pose. Push your back up high to the sky. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. Oh my goodness, look at that big table that they've created with all of their friends and family. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of his Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? And then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. Oh no, what do you think his idea was? I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. My goodness. And he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. Oh my goodness. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said. If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, and he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. So let's go into our Max pose. So for our Max pose, we're gonna put our hands on the mat and we're gonna curl our toes under and we're gonna push our bottom up into the sky. And can you bark like Max? Go roof, 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 roof. And you can waggle your tail, move your hips side to side. And Max is gonna stretch out his legs before he helps the Grinch. He's gonna stick one leg up and give it a nice shake. Shake, 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 shake. And bring that leg down. And then bring our other leg up and give it a shake. Shake, 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 shake. And then bring that leg down. What do you think Max feels about being a reindeer? See, look, he tied the reindeer antlers on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and he hitched up old Max. Do you see his sleigh where Max is pulling? Let's come into our sleigh pose. So we're gonna sit on our bottom, just like this, and you can bring one foot up in front of you and you can have your hands on the mat and you can bring both feet up if that's comfortable for you. And if you want a super duper challenge, you can bring one arm up and maybe the other arm up, and you can be a sleigh. Say, yay, Max! And we're gonna come out of our sleigh pose. And then the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air, and the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claw hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. So do you remember our Grinchy pose? So we can come up and stand up tall and cross one leg over and sit down. And you can put your hands on your hips and make your Grinchiest face. And then let's switch sides. Oh, excellent. And do you know where the Grinch lives? He lives on Mount Crumpet. So can you stand tall with your feet flat on the floor and squeeze your legs and pull your belly button in toward your back, roll your shoulders up and down, and here is our Mount Crumpet pose. Excellent. Oh, you see he's getting ready to go into the first house. Wow. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first thing to go. Do you remember our stocking pose? So we're gonna come to our knees and have the tops of our feet touching the floor. You take your hands and you put them on your back and you look up towards the sky. And if you want a little extra, you can lean back just a little bit more while your eyes are looking up towards the sky. Excellent. Oh, look, did you see all the Who's sleeping in their bed? And look at all the things that they have by their Christmas tree. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present. pop guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns, and plums. My goodness. He's gonna take everything. Let's come into our bicycle pose. So we're gonna lay on our back. We're gonna put our feet up in the sky. And can you do your bicycle? And then can you reverse your bicycle? Can you go backwards? Whoa, excellent work. Look at all those bicycles flying high. And you know what? Can we do our drum pose? So if we sit crisscross yogi sauce with your legs, you can take your hands and you can tap them on your thighs. And then let's put your hands on your chest and take a big breath in through your nose. And a big breath out. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. Oh my goodness. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Do you remember our Who's beast pose? So we come to our hands and knees and we take our eyes and we look towards our belly button and push our back up high and high to the sky. Excellent, yogi friends. Goodness, the Grinch is not leaving anything behind for the Who's. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. Can you come into tree pose? We're gonna stand up on our feet, and we're gonna balance on one foot. So you tell me where you're comfortable today. If you just want to put one set of toes on the floor, you're more than welcome to stay right here. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can rest your foot on your ankle, on your shin, or maybe even all the way up on your thigh. And we can put a star on top of our tree. So let's try our tree on the other side. So put that foot down and let's switch. So you show Miss Kate where you're most comfortable. And we can bring our hands up to be our star in our tree pose. Excellent. Let's see where the Grinch is going next. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who is not more than 2. So our Cindy Lou Who pose. We're gonna have our feet on the floor, about as wide as your mat. And our knees up and our elbows touching our knees and our hands pressed firmly together. And can you sit up nice and tall for our Cindy Lou Who pose? The Grinch had been caught by a tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? Uh-oh, the Grinch was caught. But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. I don't feel like the Grinch is being very honest. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her off to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went up to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Oh, goodness. I don't feel like the Grinch is making very kind choices. The last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. Let's come into our fireplace pose. So we're gonna sit crisscross yogi sauce, boom, boom, and we're gonna rub our hands together, make them really, really nice and warm. Put them on your chest, take a big breath in through your nose, and a big breath out. Now this time when we take our breath in and out, we're gonna breathe in through our nose, and we're gonna stick our tongue out when we breathe out like this. Creates a lot of fire in your tummy. So take a big breath in through your nose, and a big breath out your mouth, stick out your tongue. Wow, that's some fiery breathing. Let's try it one more time. In through your nose, and out through your mouth. Let's see. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. See, he didn't leave anything behind besides very tall, small crumbs. So let's come into our mouse pose. So we're gonna sit on our knees, just like this, put our bottom on our heels, and we're gonna take our forehead and lean towards the floor. And you can bring your arms behind you if you want, and you can have a little mousey. And then slowly come all the way up. Oh my goodness, that minxy Grinch. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. Oh my goodness. Whoville will have nothing left on Christmas Day. It was 1/4 dawn and the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents and ribbons, their wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. Look how full his sleigh is. Do you see all the things that he's collected from the Who's? So you know what? This time, let's come into our sled pose. And this time, we're going to do something different. So if you have a mat or a blanket, you can take the front part of it and lift it up for our sled. And we're going to go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And also, he has to go up a really, really big mountain, back up Mount Crumpet. So let's roll back and forth, take the front of your mat or your blanket. Wow, roll back and forth. Let's do it one more time. Back and forth. That was some awesome sledding. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. Let's do our Mount Crumpet pose. So let's come to our standing position, our strong mountain pose. Feet on the floor, legs squeezed, belly in, shoulders down. Pretend there's a string pulling your head up, just like that. Excellent, that's a strong Mount Crumpet pose. He rode with his load, said tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's. He was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will cry boo-hoo. Oh, do you think the Who's will be sad? That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. Can you put your hand to your ear to hear? And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. What do you think the Grinch heard? Do you think he heard sadness? But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch puffed his eyes and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Look, can you show me your surprise face? Oh. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. You see, it wasn't about the presents and the ribbons and the bows. And the Grinch, with his Grinchy feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. Well, what do you think? Do you think Christmas is a little bit more than just presents? And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed in his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. So in closing, let's make that heart shape with our hands again. And I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. You can blink your eyes open. Thank you so much, yogi friends, for joining me today for yoga. I can't wait to see you real soon.